Hey everyone, it's hard to believe it's been 3 weeks since we got the Ranger. I can't tell you if it's been a short 3 weeks or a long 3 weeks. I can tell you it kind of feels like both because we've had so much to do. But remember, our goal was to make this thing something that we'd be comfortable just hopping in, using as a daily driver. And at this point, I do feel like this truck is safe to drive, and I honestly feel like it'll probably get me most places I need to go. So in this video, I just want to give you a highlight of some of the things we've accomplished over the past couple weeks toward our goal of making this a very reliable, daily driven, 20-plus-year-old Ford Ranger. So probably the biggest update over the past couple weeks has been some of the front end suspension work we've done. Specifically, I replaced the upper control arms, the lower control arms, and that gave me new bushings and, most importantly, new ball joints. Unfortunately, the old ball joints on this thing were not safe. The bushings had completely deteriorated. There was a lot of vibration when you were driving it, and once I replaced these, it really smoothed things out and really tightened things up. I was able to get an alignment, and now I can drive this down the interstate with just one hand on the wheel. It tracks straight and it rides really well. I also decided to go ahead and get a full-size spare. Hopefully I never need it, but I did pick up a full-size spare, just a 15-inch steel rim. Replaced the rear shocks, so both of the rear shocks are new. They're riding really well. I haven't done much work in the engine compartment yet. In the last video, I mentioned replacing the battery and how the battery terminals were in pretty rough shape. I was able to replace the battery terminals. I went ahead and used the marine style terminals that have these nice top posts so that we can easily attach accessories. The drive belt's been replaced. Super easy to change out on this. The upper radiator hose is also new. The oil, of course, was changed the day after we got it home. Also did a coolant flush because the coolant was really rusty and looking rough. It was originally a super dark brown. This coolant, even after the flush, still looking rusty. This is night and day difference compared to where it was. I'm planning on doing yet another flush once that's been changed. Some of that is sediment in the coolant reservoir. If I take the radiator cap off, the coolant inside the radiator is not that color, which is good. And when I do the next flush, I'll go ahead and change out the lower radiator hose. The only other thing in the engine compartment that I've touched, I've got the AC blowing cold again. Some of the seals had probably just dried out a little bit, so just topping off the refrigerant has gotten the AC blowing cold, which is great because here in Georgia, we're already seeing 80+ degree days now. I think the heat index yesterday was like 92, so having AC is really nice. One thing you'll notice is I'm not currently running the camper shell at the moment. The side windows that back up near the truck, those dark panels, sort of make it tough to drive. It's hard to see when you're merging lanes. I'm either going to modify the camper shell to have clear windows there to make it easier to see when I need to change lanes, or I'll look into a mirror upgrade. Unfortunately, I have not had a chance to address any of the paint issues, but I'm kind of torn. I'm honestly kind of liking this look. The truck's been pretty reliable, it's fun to drive, but I think having this sort of worn look is kind of cool. So I'm on the fence on whether or not I just want to hit this with some clear coat and keep this look, or if I want to actually restore it and get some white paint. I'd actually be interested to hear y'all's thoughts, so leave some comments down below if you think I should just hit this with some clear coat and leave this sort of worn look, or if I should take the time and actually restore this nicely. One of the more fun updates I did was get my dual band radio installed, so I have access to 2 meters and UHF frequencies when I'm driving. Rebecca and I are both amateur radio operators, so we do like having that capability, especially since we go up in the mountains sometimes where there's not cell reception. With 2 meters, of course, your antenna is best suited on the highest place on the vehicle. I just have a simple mag mount antenna up here. It's performed me well on other vehicles, and I was able to slightly modify the third brake light so I could run the coax into the cab very cleanly. When this third brake light's off, it's really easy to run a cable right above the headliner. So let me show you the install inside because I'm super proud of this. I was able to use some scrap aluminum angle I had, and I was able to make some mounting brackets. This is an ICOM 2730A, and you can see the coax from the antenna. It runs in through the headliner, down one of the pillars, and behind this little panel, and it just attaches straight to the radio. This is a nice secure mounting location, and then the cables run straight to the front of the cab, where I have the head unit of the radio mounted to a ram mount arm. Now this arm is designed to attach to the bottom of your seat, so it looks for the seat mounting bolts, but I was able to find a bolt I can mount this. So let me hop to the other side and show you how that looks. So I was able to find this bolt that I could mount the bottom of this mount to, and then it just has a little metal rod that attaches to the mount, and then you can bend it in place. So as I mentioned, typically you'd attach this to your seat bracket and it would be right there. In this case, I'm always moving the seats back and forth to get behind them, so I can here keep the seats free. The radio mounts up, and the power plug just plugs straight into the 12 volts there, and when it's not in use, I can easily pop the faceplate off and then just tuck this between the seats. So it's really convenient, easy to work with, and makes it easy to use. So that overview felt a lot quicker than it did when I was doing the work. But between the front suspension updates, flushing the coolant, oil changes, the radio, tires, this thing's been driving really well. We've put about 400 miles on it in the past 3 weeks, just driving to parts stores, running a couple small errands, and I've been super comfortable driving it. At this point, I'd feel comfortable driving it almost anywhere. There are still some things I want to do. I need to change the rear differential fluid, transmission fluid. I'd like to continue changing some of these hoses and the spark plug wires, but I think we're well on our way to making this 99 Ford Ranger a reliable daily driver to replace that Kia. Until next time, I'm Ben with Grev's Garage. If you like this video, please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to be notified when new content comes out.